All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for Rakugo, Season 2, Episode 3.
Okay.
All right.
Miyokichi, how do you know that name?
Hisan. He wants to know everything. Now, here's the part that's fascinating, is that he's going to Yakumo when Yotaro does know.
Exactly.
So, is it that he wants, like, even more of an inside scoop? Like, are there things that we still don't know about?
Maybe it's personal because he knows or knew Yakumo. Who knows?
Yeah, and it's also interesting that this is being done as a parallel thing with Konatsu showing up after being in the car with someone that could very well have been
baby daddy. Yeah.
Baby daddy.
Yep.
All right. The plot thickens.
Damn it, I was just about to say that.
We should have, like, acknowledged each other when we were both about to say it and just, like, synced it up. Like, 3, 2, 1.
Thickens.
No, like, 3, 2, 1. The plot thickens.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, that would have been great.
But, you know, it is what it is. So, y'all, without further ado, let's get into this. Alright everyone, be sure to go check out the reaction portion of the video in the description below, and then come back here for the discussion. Alright, This was a brilliant episode of Rakugo. Showa Genroku Rakugo Shinju. This was
me that again.
Yeah, like, that was phenomenal. So, start off with Hisan and Yotaro, and I'm going over their perplexion, their just confusion as to the specific bit of Rakugo that Yotaro's trying to perform.
Yep.
And we cut away, essentially from the previous episode, without much context as to what that whole thing meant and that led to. Then we have some really cool bits with the mistress geisha, of the geisha, and Konatsu having a talk about family and you know, whether or not, you know, Yotaro is a good husband. And this whole thing leads to an awkward, on a whole nother level, encounter of sorts. Yeah. That we have, we have a mob boss, the Yakuza boss, coming to their restaurant, but also a police detective showed up, and it's like, things are tenuous and what have you. But then we notice that Konatsu is suddenly like, oh, I should be there. And it's like, oh no, oh no. Well,
so
weirdly enough, I was not at all worried for Konatsu. I was worried for what this meant for the relationship, and actually specifically the baby. I was more worried. I'm like, nope, keep that baby away from
10,000 foot distance at all times.
Chief, you know, like I'm like, do not, no. So this still happens though. Yep. In some ways, luckily, we end up having him bump into his old direct boss, you know, the one that he would report to specifically, the one that came and saw his Rakugo when he was still in training. And
I gotta say, that is something that I was figuring would be a thing in Season 2, back from Episode 1 of Season 1, because I figured, I was like, okay, they introduced, all right, his boss, like, he's gonna be a recurring character, right? Like, because, you know, he's out of that life, but, you know, oh boy, wow. So, yeah, this is a thing.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, so, we now know who the daddy. We know who the daddy is.
Yeah.
And, this is, something that I'm a little bit curious about, because, why?
Yeah.
He's a Yakuza boss, so he can probably get what he wants whenever he wants it. But
why?
But why?
Yep.
I want to draw attention to a specific line. A specific line that seems a bit interesting. He's hoping to meet you.
Oh, are you talking about where he says Yakumo's done some things for me?
So, they're going over the past, but there's a lot with Konatsu kind of freaking out on the sideline about this whole setup there.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. I can't help but feel you're picking a fight with me. I'm grateful to you for taking the fall for your boss. And Master Yakumo has been very good to me. So, what I get the feeling is that there was a potential bit where Yotaro's safety was called into question.
Yep.
But Yakumo basically took the hit and basically figured out a way to smooth things over.
And we kind of saw that a little bit in the first episode of the show because, you know, there was the whole thing of like, hey, come on back, you know, you can't just leave this life. And Yakumo's like, hold up a minute, right?
Yeah.
And it was awesome. It was awesome.
Fantastic.
But, yeah.
But that wasn't this guy.
No, that wasn't this guy.
That wasn't this guy.
Nope.
How was Yakumo good to this guy?
Yeah. Probably some stuff that happened off screen that we didn't see as a result of that kind of stuff.
But this is a question that if I was Yotaro, I would be like, hey, Master, what's your relationship like with the Yakuza boss? What's your connection there? Because what I'm worried about is that Yakumo did some things, and not all of them were good things, in terms of like where this season started off very quickly, I would say, with things from the past having rippling effects in the present. So there's stuff like Yotaro's, stuff going on with the Yakuza.
Yep.
There's the whole, backstory bit that we got, and now we know how that carries over into the future, or the present. This seems like another thing where we're like, oh, there's more that you don't know. And literally, Hisan's character at this point is almost being relegated to reminding us as the audience, oh, there's more to know. Otherwise, it would be redundant for the story to have Hisan be told everything that we already know.
Right. Well, and also why he would be asking Yakumo specifically rather than Yotaro.
So. Yeah. That's all I gotta say about that, because it's just like they opened up a whole nother can of worms with this.
There were so many things happening here that I wasn't even able to track with it completely.
Me too, yeah.
Like when Yotaro tells Konatsu to come here, I was like, wait, what? What are you doing?
I'm like, are you mad?
Yeah,
Now, there was a part in the beginning where Konatsu freaks out for a little bit. I think it was this part here where, let's play it here. The day you told me to serve time in my boss's place.
Yeah.
And he's talking about that. He's like, was that you? And he's like, sorry to say, I can't remember the face of every man under me. Hisan notices that a change of expression in Konatsu's face. She is looking terrified at this point. And I don't understand why.
Yeah, okay.
What do you get from that?
Right, and then he says, I never would have dreamed that that man.
Keep playing. I never would have dreamed that man would become
a rock performer and be sitting before me now. Okay. So, all right. So,
is she just panicking about the direction of the conversation? Is going to know that this is the baby daddy, and her husband is, well, actually, no, her actual husband. They are registered. They're actually official married. Man and wife.
Right. So it could be that it's given the fact that it's talking about basically just it's that it's Yotaro's past, and that it's someone directly connected to Yotaro's past, and that there's a connection there, that the baby daddy has this kind of relationship with my husband. Okay.
Well, she knew that. See, that's the thing. We all know he was Yakuza. He is the Yakuza boss.
Right. But the difference between he's a Yakuza that, because he took a fall for the other guy that's in the room, right?
Right.
Yotaro took the fall for Yotaro's old boss, right?
But this is the guy in the room.
But this is his boss's boss,
right? Yeah.
So it made what I'm guessing is that she knew that he had Yakuza ties. Okay, whatever, that's cool.
But she didn't know the lineage of Yakuza.
She didn't know the lineage of Yakuza, and that specifically this was the guy that convinced him to take the fall for his boss.
Oh.
Right. That threatened his dad and all that stuff, and like.
Oh. Yeah. So, wait. So.
Although it could also be I don't remember the names of every man under me, as if that would have some particular importance, but I don't think so. I don't see how it would. But what are you thinking?
I don't want to say.
Okay. Yeah. This whole episode, I was so terrified for Yotaro. For so much of it. Like,
can I say that there's something odd I'm noticing about this season?
Yeah.
The way it's edited, it jumps between certain scenes rather differently than they did in season 1.
Yeah.
It feels like I know the last season was a backstory flashback essentially, but
and even then it did have those minor time skips, they would sort of do, right?
Kind of.
But
this feels like a slightly different show with regards to how it flows.
Right. They do a lot more of talking about other things that have happened off screen that are relevant in a very immediate sense rather than general progressions of like, okay, you're this rank now, such and such, and you owe me a lot of money.
Right. And I'm wondering how important that is to the overall plot. Not in terms of the immediate stuff that we got in this episode, because we saw it. It was literally shown to us.
Yes.
But with regards to the overarching narrative, how much that ties into things. So, yeah, that's why I kind of want to hold reservations for a bit now, because I feel like I do better when I kind of percolate on a thought for a longer portion of time than I do when I kind of express it out and then just kind of beat around the bush till I get to the thing that I'm thinking about.
Or maybe do the thing that Yotaro did. Which, maybe we could talk about that for a little bit, because...
So we have Kanatsu, and she is not she suddenly wishes she didn't come here, basically.
Yeah,
And Yotaro is being a bit gutsy here.
Very.
Because him dragging Kanatsu here when she does not want to be here, and basically saying, hey, this is my wife, this is my kid, or this is our kid, or what have you. The grandson of Sukeroku-san that she worked hard to have. He looks exactly like him, with his eyes and his hair. What does he say? Like peas in a pod or something like that? Along with Sis, there are 3 peas in a pod. But when you look real hard, he's got a bit of him and you two, isn't it? And then the other boss is just like, he's like, oh,
what are you doing? Yeah.
Now, here's the thing. She says don't say anymore, probably for the safety of not only Yotaro, but also her and her child. But I find it rather interesting that the boss here actually gets angry in a protective way of Kanatsu here. Did you notice that?
Oh.
He wasn't going to stop talking, so the reason why he threw him down was because he says, cool your head, you brat. Kanatsu said no. Put the brakes on your self-righteousness. Meaning, how dare you condescend not only to me, but to Kanatsu. As if she's not an adult. Which I actually really find
that's
fascinating.
That's something to appreciate.
Well, I don't know
depending
exactly, because there's interpretations of this,
right?
And then I think Kanatsu misunderstands and goes into "forgive him, please."
Right, because is it something where
her just expression here? She's trembling,
begging,
crying, begging.
And
he has this look here. Look at this. Look at this.
Yeah,
that little acknowledgement, as if he's like, as if he actually does care for her.
Well, and the thing that drives me crazy about this here is that I don't know how much of it could actually be a very good thing, where it's like the villainous virtues kind of a thing. He's a Yakuza boss that threatens to kill your father and all that stuff, but then there's still these parts of him that are admirable, versus potentially something even more twisted and sick, where it's she's terrified of me. I know that she's terrified of me. She told you not to. Oh, don't. No. She said to stop.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, you're begging for me to, and all that stuff, crying and, apologize and saying, I'm so sorry. Oh, it's okay.
Yeah, but that's him being self-righteous.
I know.
Then. That's why I say it completely seems like nothing like that. He's condescending to the one who was being self-righteous, aka condescending. So if anything, he threw back his own kind of stuff with him with physical violence. And then he goes out, he's like, hey, don't you resolve this without me? I don't agree to it. And what I love here is that at this point, I don't think the boss has any problem with him. I think at this point, if he struck out in violence or any kind of anything else aggressive other than what he did here with Rakugo, the boss would have had his way with him.
Yes, absolutely.
I think in a fight, I'm pretty certain I know who's going to win here, because one, it's actually 2-on-1 here.
Yes.
Another thing is that Yotaro got pretty easily handled right there without even. And I love how, he's like, hey, what the hell are you thinking? Is this how you want to die? And he reminds us of the promise and stuff like that. But then he's like, what's all this mumbling about? At this point, just say what you want. Look at his face.
Yeah.
He doesn't care.
Yeah. He's like, you've already, clearly, fear and social protocol and not wanting to piss me off.
Doesn't apply here.
Doesn't apply here. So
just say it.
Just say it. Yeah, you might as well.
It's like, we're all adults here. Just
exactly.
Have your peace.
Yeah.
And I love that in the midst of all this beauty with the carnival and what have you, the scene is built up. We have him soaked to the bone. We see his Yakuza little fish
tattoo,
carp or what have you coming out from
the
robe. And then he sits down in the Rakugo pose, his dick barely not hanging out, You can hear the water as he pulls up his sleeves or what have you.
You're nothing but a tree trunk. It's like, what?
Heartless, spineless, eyeless, nose hunk of wood, dumbbell blunderbuss. What is it? Potato chewer? What does he call him?
Potato peeler or something? Or stump chewer? You damn potato puller.
Quit acting like a big shot. All he feels puffed up, prattle. This loud voice is my voice. But it can get louder and louder and louder. You nincompoop, damn fool, addle pate. On top of that, you're a sleazy dirtbag, good for nothing. What? I gotta see the whole thing. It's just beautiful.
Yeah.
And the animation
the
on
rotating camera,
so good for nothing, bumbly wumbly caterpillar. That kid is my son, and no one gets to tell me otherwise. What's the matter? He doesn't look like me. Listen up! Don't you dare come for him later, because I'm not giving him up, and don't you doubt it.
As of today, the conversation's over.
Subject closed. But okay, I actually want to talk about why I think the exact opposite is the case, but actually why the subject with the Yakuza boss is actually closed.
Okay.
So here's what I'm connecting it here is you have the Yakuza boss confronts him immediately and directly, throws him into the pond or what have you.
Yep.
And it's like, how dare you with your self-righteousness? Sit down and cool your head off. That's him trying to end things, not escalate things. That's the boss actually thinking about the feelings of Konatsu there. Then we have Yotaro coming out here and giving this just hitting him so hard with everything that's pent up inside him and with his feelings and such. And the boss just lets him take it there, which shows that he wasn't interested in escalating things there. So he's like, is that it? Is that what you had to? Good. Okay, cool. But then Yotaro does the conversation's over, subject closed. The conversation over, yes, he literally just had his rant. The conversation is over. But the subject The subject is, why did this happen? Not only why did this happen, but why was Konatsu so freaking out about this? Not just with regards probably to the safety,
right,
of this Yotaro, you know?
Right?
This bumbling fool, this baka. But why'd she go there like even before Yotaro, you know, wanted to go there? Like,
I don't know.
I am,
maybe because it's her place of work, or no?
No,
wait,
no. Well, okay, yes,
right,
it is her place of work.
Yeah, because the restaurant.
But, but
yeah, I don't know. I don't know. There's this part of me. There's this part of me that's
guilt. There's like huge guilt in her eyes, like throughout this scene.
What I would so this doesn't necessarily tie into how the Yakuza boss has been acting so far. He may end up changing his mind, but I like your take on it, that there isn't a bunch of other stuff that's, you know, gonna come up from it later or whatever.
From him, right?
I think
that Yotaro and Konatsu are still going to have to talk about this.
Yeah, but so when I think of Konatsu having guilt, right? There's guilt
of
embarrassment.
You know?
Well, sure, there's embarrassment and all that stuff, and but what it really seems to come to as far as something here from my perspective is that she feels guilt because she's pulling him into this, because this is because
okay. Yeah.
She feels comfortable in that she can handle things in whatever way she handles them, has handled them until now, and all that stuff, that she can continue to do so, right? And yet, he's throwing his neck out on the line in a very big way because of her.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's something that I could see her definitely feeling guilty about, because she knows he's this kind of person.
Right.
Right? He's so earnest and so brash and so impetuous, right? That he'll do stuff like this.
Oh, yeah.
And if not for simply the goodwill of the Yakuza boss, and maybe the fact that he's a Shinichi, Yotaro would be dead, like now or in a few days' time, right? This is the kind of guy that does that. He doesn't have a problem threatening people, right? With death.
Well, it's assumed because he's the Yakuza boss.
Well, but he threatened his father. And you're like,
how many years ago? 10 years ago?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
That is still 10 years ago.
No, right, but he's a Yakuza boss, right?
Yeah,
you know,
like, so it's primarily...
Yeah,
I got you. I got you.
So, and the thing is that because, like, I mean, there's what we know of the characters.
Yep.
There's what the characters know about the characters, and what Konatsu knows about the Yakuza boss may be fairly limited, because in a lot of ways she probably sees very much his role, his status, his power, all of that stuff, right?
So hence why she didn't want to see him, really. She wanted to listen and probably just stay aware of things. And then also when she came into the room, she like threw her head down. She's like really nervous and afraid.
Yep. And so I don't know. I feel like this is something that's past my capabilities of truly analyzing it and figuring it out. But there's such a rhythm and rhyme to it that I feel like it's all here. I might just need to percolate it. Percolate on what you were saying.
I feel like there's a large piece of a puzzle that was just given here that is not having to do just with the fact that we found out who Daddy is. But I think it has to do with, in a lot of ways, why like Konatsu is the way she is right now. Like Konatsu as a character, in a lot of ways, was given a little bit of a this is a position and a place we've never seen her in before.
Yeah.
And the way she reacted was in a way that we've never seen her do before.
And it's very natural for someone in that kind of situation to react the way that she does.
Except that she is a very unique person. She doesn't have...
Right, there's the layers that are there so that we know that so that it's a lot more complicated than you know, it might seem if it was just a random person. It's like, oh no, you're getting angry at a mob boss. I don't want him to kill you, right?
Yeah. I just don't know why she went there. I don't think I know that she is a member of the restaurant or what have you, but if this was the guy that was her baby daddy and had utilized his power in order to make this situation work in his favor, I don't think she would want to see him ever again.
Yeah. Right. The fact that she was in his car, right, makes me think that either it's something where he forced that.
Yep.
Or there's a bind that she's in that she wants to use his power and influence in order to get. Right?
And that doesn't seem like her.
That doesn't seem like her.
That's what Miyokichi would do.
Exactly, and she doesn't want to be like her parent. And while there's the possibility that by trying to not be her mother, there could be aspects of her that still become similar, and that's why it's still a conflict today, right? But it seems a lot more likely that it's something that he forced, and if that's the case, then that means that this might not be done, right?
Yeah, and yet, when we got a little bit of insight into his character in this scene, it contradicts, in my opinion, everything I would assume about a Yakuza boss.
Yep, which is also...
I think he literally defended Konatsu's honor in a small way here. And that's maybe blowing it way out of proportion here.
Right.
But I don't think he had his ego affronted here. The Yakuza boss. I think the primary bit that maybe, if anything, he felt a little bit offended by or what have you was just that he just brashly opened the door and just, oh, I'm coming in. And he's just like, really? Okay, I guess this is what I'm dealing with right now. But he's the kind of guy probably who deals with way crazier stuff than that. So it's all like, I'm a rock. I'm immovable.
Exactly. The Yakuza boss, one of the things that I really like about who he was portrayed here for a multitude of reasons. For one, I don't want the final conflict in Rakugo to be like a bunch of Yakuza with guns, you know, and it's are they going to kill Yotaro? No. No.
I agree.
So it simplifies things from that angle, but also it's the idea that to have someone in his position of power, right? A lot of times in stories, people in those positions of power, and probably rightly so, I'm guessing, are portrayed as having a chip on their shoulder, right? And anytime someone clocks them or bumps them, bumps into them, right, they have to prove their power. But that seems more of a thing that happens to the people that are lower on the food chain, and they want to assert themselves because there's that bit of insecurity about it. Whereas for him, he is at the top dog, right? He knows he could have Yotaro killed by 6 guys, right? In 2 days, and no problem, right? So he doesn't feel like he has to defend himself. He can just stand there and be the Yakuza boss because he's the Yakuza boss.
So that subject will get reopened at some point, and I'm looking forward to that. The other big thing that happened this episode, there's a lot that we could cover, but we got to cover the biggest things here. This conversation that leads to the Rakugo that Yakumo gives that is straight up body language, word for word, tone, everything that Sukeroku did, and basically said to Yotaro, hey, there is no master left around anymore for this one here. So I'm going to literally channel the only one that I know of that did this Rakugo
as a Shinigami, I'm going to call up a dead soul real quick.
And then literally does it so perfectly, he's able to recognize it probably because he heard not he heard this Rakugo being performed on the radio or the phonograph.
Well, I think there was a point, like when they were at the house, where Sukeroku performed this exact one. I'm not sure.
He doesn't know Sukeroku, though. I'm talking about Yotaro.
Yotaro, okay.
I know that Yakumo did. I'm saying that Yotaro recognized it being Sukeroku because of how much of Sukeroku's other Rakugo he had listened to. Which means that he didn't ever hear Sukeroku perform this one. It's like it's not available to the public or what have you.
Otherwise, he would have just had him listen to that one.
Right. He would have had him literally like, okay, put this on, listen to it. But no, he recognizes it so much and it's performed so beautifully. It moves Yakumo to tears. Because he knows the emotional context of who Sukeroku was to Yakumo. So it's a beautifully heart-wrenching scene that I can't actually really... I wouldn't cry at this. This makes me happy Because I see a guy who's got haunted by the ghost of Sukeroku, who willingly channels that pain and that emotion into this performance here to perfectly exemplify Sukeroku, almost like he is that dead inside to that he can bring it up so like robotically, and it still looks beautiful. Like it is Sukeroku.
Well, you can swear that this is taking years off Yakumo's life, and then at the end he grabs his heart like he's about to have a heart attack because it's
he just expended 1% of his life just to make this happen. You know,
right? And it's one of those things where like for me, I could I don't think Yotaro was crying because he was sad.
Yeah.
I think he was crying because he's never seen the side of his master before. Ever.
And it was just beautiful.
Yeah, and it absolutely took his breath away.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah. And this is just after he said that he would do the family performance for them there. And another small little thing, I don't think this is a big thing with regards to the story. I think it's a fun little wordplay thing because they do it later in the episode. We can talk about that one at the very end because that's the biggest one here that kind of leaves the episode with this feeling of like, oh, that's where the tears would come from for me. But that he says that you're someone that just, he's like, how do you have so little ego? He's like, that is a problem sometimes. And he's like, you know, like you should have some. You need to have some part of your id, you know, your ego essentially come out in your Rakugo, the identity, who you are. And yet this is coming right after he didn't know this happened. Literally, he channeled the most Yotaro style rant, a one-off monologue tirade of insults at a Yakuza boss.
I was waiting for him to be like, oh, by the way, I think I got some progress on finding my Rakugo. I chewed out a Yakuza boss, you know, that you're apparently acquaintances
with. Flawlessly. He complimented me on
the cadence of it. Like, and then Yakumo be like, "Choto mate kudasai."
But what I think is wonderful about that, I think is absolutely amazing, is that the thing that does Yakumo say that he had a problem with ego as well? I'm trying to remember.
I don't think so.
Does he say something like that? No, he says that he had trouble learning Inokori.
Right, and ended up giving up on it. Which is crazy because he has... Well, probably because he couldn't maybe differentiate it from Sukeroku.
Well, that's the thing, is that it's not that he had problems with ego. He said he had a problem with that piece of Rakugo. So the only way he can do it is exactly...
like Sukeroku.
It's exactly like Sukeroku. It is without ego... because there's nothing of him in it.
Okay.
So what I'm seeing here as a cool little clever trick here is that ego, in this case, the positive of it in the performance of Rakugo is that you cannot mimic with ego.
Right.
You bring in a little bit of, you cannot mimic perfectly. It's more of what I'm saying there. So he mimics Sukeroku perfectly, showcasing a way to do the Rakugo without ego. And now he's saying you need to do this so that you can bring out more of yourself in your Rakugo, the ego, the id, blah blah blah. I just thought it was a clever little thing there. But the Daddy's Rakugo. Daddy's Rakugo. This bit right here. Yep. The way that we focus on how happy she is in these moments when she's alone just gives me so much hope for their relationship. And then she says, "That's Daddy's Rakugo you're hearing," and I'm like, I'm now like freaking Yotaro just crying, like clapping, just like, "Yep, well done, Rakugo. You did it." And the thing is that like this part was so like perfectly like succinct and to the point. We got to hear the Rakugo for a little bit, so we knew almost what exactly she was going to say. We knew it was going to be something along these lines.
The fact that they managed to pack this much into the episode absolutely blows me away.
Exactly.
Because like, here's the thing. With this episode, once it got to the point of like, you're going to learn this piece, blah, 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 I'm like, okay, that's where they're going to end the episode. No, they didn't. They did the entire performance, and then they had this after. Wow.
Yeah. We're on episode 3, Jake.
This is episode 3.
Episode 3.
Oh my god.
It's just perfect.
And
it's
what,
perfect.
What blows me away, like, okay, even though the last episode of season 1 was kind of getting back to the present day and all that stuff, but like I mentioned earlier that like this is the first time that we've seen what was it? Something like Yakumo looking that young or that alive, right, since season 1. Mm-hmm. And it's only episode 3. And yet it feels like it's been this massive stretch of time. Mm-hmm. And
okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Here we are.
So, y'all, thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, though, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get on early access there. You can watch full-length timer reactions there. And all this comes with Discord access, so you can chat with us and the community there about this show, about anime in general, and you can also talk with Jacob about the book that he wrote.
Yeah, so I wrote a book. It's a sci-fi novel. It's really cool. It's called Battle Lines. It's on Amazon. If you haven't gotten it yet, you totally should. It's in both hardback and ebook. Link in the description down below. Go check it out.
Yeah, so if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.